How long has it been since you last heard the real story? Behind Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, Pamela Warner. Malcolm's calm and elegant mother has finally broken the silence after many years. At the age of 70, she can no longer hold back the truth. A mother who has borne the silence for so long has decided not to let those secrets quietly be buried anymore. She will not let her son be misunderstood any longer. And now, as she chooses to speak out, everything will change forever. Pamela makes it clear it wasn't drugs, it wasn't suicide, and certainly not a mental breakdown. The rumors that have surrounded Malcolm all this time are now being debunked. Malcolm did not fall apart. He wasn't reckless, as many believed. He was in a phase of creativity, healing, and growth. And then suddenly, he was gone. So what really happened? Are you ready to face the truth? Leave a comment with number 1 if you sympathize with Malcolm-Jamal Warner, or the Bureau if you have a different opinion. If his legacy ever touched you, made you laugh, reflect, or inspired, you show your gratitude by liking and subscribing so you won't miss the revelations coming up next. Don't miss this explosive story. The autopsy report, the very paper Pamela clutched in her trembling hand as if a gentle breeze could snatch it away, was what confirmed a bitter truth no mother ever wants to hear, not even once in her lifetime. It wasn't the fabricated rumors people whispered after his passing. Her son didn't die from the pressures of fame, not from scandal or the loneliness beneath the spotlight. Not because he was weak. No darkness had silently consumed him. There were no traces of stimulants, no signs of despair. The truth was harsher and far more silent. Malcolm, who once shone with vitality, passion, and purpose, passed away, not by choice or mistake, but due to a silent adversary, an undetected, insidious heart condition. On a quiet morning by the lake where not even a loud sound foretold the tragedy, his last breath gently faded. Amidst nature's serenity, with the sky still blue and the water flat as a mirror, his heart suddenly betrayed its owner. No cry, no struggle, only silence, a silence that shook an entire world when the truth was revealed. Pamela choked back tears as she recalled his final message, a poignant echo of peace and longing. Still water, bright stars, wish you were here, Ma, love you always. Those were the last words she heard from her son, devoid of any hint of the turmoil the world later fabricated. No drugs, no violence, just the tender farewell of a wonderful man, as wholesome and beloved as the character Theo Huxtable, yet tragically lost beneath the surface of the water. For Pamela, this was the raw, unvarnished truth, starkly contrasting with the sensational whispers and baseless accusations that followed his passing. She knew the depth of his character, a man who consistently brought light and integrity into the world, and she fiercely rejected the narrative that sought to tarnish his memory with scandal. Now, with an unshakable resolve to preserve his true essence, Pamela is establishing a fund in Malcolm's honor. This ensures his legacy is defined by the vibrant life he lived, not by the tragic circumstances of his death. Her story, deeply steeped in a mother's profound grief and an unwavering commitment to truth, resonates far more profoundly than any rumor or scandal could ever generate. Malcolm wasn't caught in a whirlwind of controversy or notoriety. He simply melted into silence. This phrase, both poetic and heartbreaking, captures the quiet, unexpected nature of his departure, starkly different from the dramatic narratives spun by others. Yet even in this profound stillness, his spirit has not faded. Instead, it continues to live on, a powerful testament to the genuine person he was and a guiding light for the work Pamela is now undertaking to ensure his voice and the voices of others like him will never truly be silenced again. The issue extends beyond just his death. It's about what was ignored, the pain that was denied, the heartbreak that struck without warning, and a mother rising to defend a son who can no longer speak for himself. People thought they understood this story, but they had never heard the truth directly from Pamela's lips until now. Many believed Pamela's silence signified acceptance, that her strength was a sign of surrender. But they were wrong. She suppressed a deep internal agony, a sorrow that had shattered her from within. And now at 70, with trembling hands and swollen eyes, she is ready to speak. What she reveals will completely break you. The name Malcolm-Jamal Warner evokes countless memories. For millions, he was Theo Huxtable, the intelligent, humorous, beloved son of America's most famous television family. For Pamela, he was simply her son, her baby, her entire world, and now he's gone. What initially seemed like a tragic accident ultimately unfolded into a preventable loss. The autopsy report, the very paper she awaited, signed and read alone in her dimly lit kitchen, proved that Malcolm did not die from drugs. He didn't commit suicide, nor was he drunk or high. He drowned, but not due to carelessness. His heart betrayed him. An underlying heart condition, a lethal arrhythmia, had silently resided within him for years, unbeknownst to anyone. Then, on a serene July morning at Big Bear Lake, as the sun was just beginning to peek over the calm waters, Malcolm went for a swim and never returned. Pamela vividly recalls the premonition-filled call. She knew something was terribly wrong the moment the phone rang. A mother always knows. He'd promised to call after breakfast, but that breakfast never came. Those at the retreat remembered Malcolm as being joyful, calm, and focused. He shared that he was nearing completion on a screenplay he'd been working on for over a year. Carrying his notebook and jazz records, he brought peace, but he carried no life vest, no second chance. They said he simply went face down in the water, no frantic struggle, no desperate cries, just a chilling, sudden vanishing act beneath the tranquil surface. The autopsy results, when they finally came, were painfully clear, yet utterly devastating. His heart had inexplicably stopped while he was swimming. There were no signs of drugs in his system, no trace of alcohol, no evidence of any collision or external trauma. The medical findings pointed to a singular heartbreaking cause, an abnormally large heart harboring a silent, insidious scar from a silent period that no one, not even his closest family, had known was occurring. This condition had resided undetected within his body for years, a hidden vulnerability merely waiting for a moment of quiet, serene peace, like a swim, to tragically manifest and claim his life. A mother now sits in the very home where she once nurtured her son, surrounded by the tangible echoes of his life. His paintings, his poetry, his jazz records, and the faint lingering scent of his favorite incense. In this space, hallowed by memory, she quietly questions whether she could have or should have saved him. "I should have pushed harder," she whispers to herself, the words heavy with unyielding regret. "I should have taken him to the hospital." Yet even amidst her sorrow, a fierce pride surges. But he was so strong, so full of life. She utters his name, Malcolm, a sacred sound that is at once a prayer, an open wound that still bleeds, and a poignant lament for a past that should never have receded into memory. For her, Malcolm was far more than just a famous figure or a familiar face on TV. He was a true innovator, an artist, whose soul skillfully wove deep meaning into every piece he created, transforming them into inspiring messages. He was also a poet, his words echoing truth and moving hearts. a fierce protector always championing what was right and just. As a son and a father, he was deeply loved, dedicating his full affection to his family. And from the very depths of his heart, Malcolm was a quiet revolutionary who devoted his life to noble values. He held an unshakable belief in the power of healing Black families, trusting that unity and love could mend all wounds. He believed in meticulously rewriting the painful histories that spanned generations, turning sorrowful pasts into valuable lessons for the future. At the same time, he tirelessly worked to boldly create spaces filled with pure joy, where people could find happiness and peace. She knew well that his true essence transcended the fleeting glamour of fame. Instead, Malcolm left behind a profound legacy rooted in his authenticity, relentless dedication, and immense love for his community, a legacy that will forever be cherished and emulated by future generations. Pamela recounted with a voice full of sorrow. He was working on something, a film, a book, an album. She remembered her son's words spoken with such hope and deep empathy. "This is for us, Ma, for people like us who never got to cry out loud." It was a project he cherished, a way for him to connect with and heal kindred spirits. But now he'll never finish it. That sentence felt like a knife twisting in her heart. So many aspirations, so many promises left forever unfulfilled. Instead, just hours before his passing, Pamela received the last message from Malcolm, a brief but profoundly tender note. "Still water, bright stars. Wish you were here, Ma. Love you always, Ma." She recounts her hands trembling as she reread words she had already committed to memory countless times. It was his final farewell, a moment of haunting peace that starkly contrasted with the chaos and fabrications that would later swirl around his life. That message became a testament to his deep love, a somber pause in the life story of a talented artist and devoted son. "Those were my son's last words to me, and I will keep them until my last breath," Pamela declared. In the wake of his death, as fans lit candles and posted old Theo clips on Instagram, the internet did what it always does, it speculated. They said he was depressed. They said he relapsed. They said he couldn't handle the pressure. They even claimed he was possessed. But Pamela, she knew better. And now she stood ready to voice the one truth the rumors could never utter. "My son didn't die from sadness. He didn't die from scandal. He died because his heart stopped. And no one saw it coming, not even him." This, she explained, was what truly devastated her, for he had so many plans. He was directing again. He had 3 new screenplays in development, promising stories he had carefully nurtured, now left forever unfinished. With unwavering dedication, he was spending time mentoring young Black poets, passing on his passion and knowledge to the next generation, fostering new talents to find their voice. He was also on the cusp of releasing an album of spoken-word poetry, raw, intimate, and deeply spiritual work that promised to touch hearts and leave an indelible mark. Beyond his burgeoning artistic career, he had found joy and purpose in his new role as a father, steadily building a happy family. Yet now, all that remains are echoes from the past, unfinished manuscripts lying silent, unheard voicemails, and the painful memories of a life cut tragically short. Pamela shared with poignant resolve. He gave too much to this world, and the world still wanted more. She felt the profound injustice of how even after her son's passing, people tried to strip away his truth, distorting what he stood for. But not anymore. This is his truth, and I'm here to protect it. She declared, her eyes burning with determination. Tears streamed down her face, an unceasing flow symbolizing the unending grief of a mother who lost her child and felt abandoned by society. She highlighted a painful and pressing reality in the community. We lose too many sons to silence, to ignoring symptoms, to pretending we're fine. Malcolm wasn't reckless. He wasn't breaking down. Pamela's painful assertion resonated. He just wasn't aware, and now he's gone. These words encapsulate the tragedy of a sudden, unannounced death due to a hidden health condition no one knew about. This is the silent pain many families face when a loved one passes unexpectedly, not from an obvious cause or a reckless lifestyle. To transform her profound loss into meaningful action, Pamela is establishing the Malcolm-Jamal Warner Water Safety and Cardiac Health Initiative. This isn't just a way to honor her son, it's a deeply humane mission. The organization will focus on educating Black men and their families about the potential dangers of heart disease, the risks associated with unsafe swimming, and most importantly, the crucial need to listen to their bodies. Pamela hopes that through this initiative, Malcolm's story will serve as a powerful wake-up call, helping to save countless others from similar tragedies by encouraging proactive cardiac health care and awareness of warning signs. Swimming shouldn't take our sons' lives, especially when the real danger lurks inside their own bodies. She said, her voice filled with sorrow, yet unwavering resolve. Especially when something as simple as a routine health checkup could save a life. She leaned back in her chair, her posture weary, but her eyes still burning with fierce determination. Her voice, now almost a whisper, carried immense emphasis, with every word piercing straight to the heart. It was an urgent plea, a demand for awareness of the invisible, insidious threats that lie beneath the surface of seemingly healthy lives, underscoring the tragic oversight that often accompanies sudden, heartbreaking loss. "My son didn't drown in sorrow," she asserted directly, refuting any false assumptions or baseless rumors. Instead, she declared, "He drowned in silence." This haunting phrase encapsulates the profound tragedy of an undetected health condition, the indifference of a system, and the fear people often have of confronting harsh truths. It's this pervasive silence, the very thing that stole her beloved son, that she is now determined to shatter. Her grief has been transformed into a powerful megaphone aiming to warn and protect others, ensuring that Malcolm's story becomes a catalyst for change. She wants to ensure that no more lives are lost to silent tragedies that could have been prevented. The world needs to know that Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't led by darkness. She declared, strongly refuting all mistaken assumptions about her son. He was led by something far more terrifying, something invisible, quiet, and tragically ordinary. This was a profound statement pointing to the silent yet deadly nature of the true danger. Pamela's voice might have been soft, tinged with pain, but the truth she delivered resonated like thunder, shaking everyone who listened. Just as the whispers began to fade and people thought they could move on and forget, everything erupted. The truth couldn't be buried forever. A hidden folder suddenly appeared, revealing previously unknown information. A deleted voicemail was recovered, and even more chillingly, a voicemail recording that no one was ever supposed to hear suddenly surfaced. Karen Molina was sitting in her home, surrounded by silence, with grief hanging in the air like smoke, when a former employee handed her a USB drive. There was no name, no message, just 2 words: "Listen closely." She hesitated, but curiosity and her mother's instinct prevailed. She plugged in the USB, and what she heard next tore her soul apart. It was Malcolm's voice, trembling, whispering, full of paranoia. "Mom, if you're hearing this, I need you to know it's not what they'll say. This isn't an accident. They're watching me. Every time I speak up, they punish me. I shouldn't even be recording this, but if they silence me, I need you to fight." Her hands trembled as she listened to his words. Her heart-wrenching scream echoed through the house, not as a sound of madness or a baseless fantasy, nor was it the sorrowful delusion of a mother deep in grief. For her, this was the raw, chilling truth, a cruel reality that couldn't be twisted or denied. In his final moments, Malcolm knew he was being watched, hunted, and he was fully aware he wouldn't survive this dark conspiracy. That fear and despair now haunted his mother as she realized the horrifying truth that had been hidden. The clearest evidence, a fateful warning from Malcolm, was the voicemail he left. It was time-stamped just 2 days before his officially reported accident. This chronological overlap wasn't just eerily perfect, it also raised profound suspicions about a meticulously planned plot. It wasn't a coincidence, but a final message, a desperate plea Malcolm intended to send, revealing the truth behind his death and exposing the true faces of those who took his life. This became the pivotal evidence forcing everyone to confront a painful reality. Karen's knees buckled. Her son had left a warning, and she had wasted years trusting the media's narrative. But that wasn't all. The USB contained something else, an internal file from a private security firm. Names were redacted, but surveillance logs, routine checks at Malcolm's home, notes on his conversations with Cosby, details on the silencing of other black artists, and records of abuse secrets and manipulation within the entertainment industry, it was all there. At the very bottom of the recovered document, a chilling discovery emerged, a solitary name, Project MJW. Karen's blood ran cold. The implication was unmistakable. Her son was a target part of a carefully orchestrated plan, and the world had utterly ignored it. Driven by fierce maternal instinct, she rushed directly to Eddie Griffin's house. Without even knocking, she burst through his door, tears streaming down her face, the USB clutched tightly in her hand. Eddie froze, stunned by her sudden appearance. As she played the recording, his composure shattered and he completely broke down. "I told them," Eddie whispered, his voice filled with despair. "I told them they got him." He frantically grabbed his phone and called Dave Chappelle, but there was no answer. That ominous silence was the first warning sign foretelling what was to come. Could Project MJW really be a carefully orchestrated plot? Hit like and subscribe now so you don't miss the upcoming revelations, because the truth is slowly coming to light and it could change everything. The second, even more terrifying confirmation came later. That very night, Karen's house was broken into. Strangely, no electronics were stolen, no cash was taken, not even her jewelry box was touched. Instead, the single crucial item missing was the drawer where she kept the backup copy of the USB drive. The message was now undeniably clear, etched in the chilling emptiness of the missing drawer. "Shut up or we'll make you disappear." The threat had escalated dramatically, pushing Karen towards an impossible choice, forcing her to confront the dark forces silently at play. But Karen wouldn't be silenced. She did what no other Hollywood mother dared. She went public, directly confronting the powers attempting a cover-up. Karen started a live stream right from her home, completely raw, no makeup, no PR filters, just the unadulterated truth. "They lied to me. They lied to all of us," she declared, her voice filled with a mother's righteous fury. "My son didn't die in an accident. He was silenced, and I have the proof." In just 6 hours, that powerful live stream went viral, and the hashtag #NotYourJusticeStarts now began trending, a clear sign the world was listening. As Karen's message resonated powerfully, Malcolm's former Cosby Show co-stars began to react, though not directly. They left cryptic comments, posted images of black roses, and shared red balloon emojis. In Hollywood, these symbols carried a singular ominous meaning, a lost voice, one they couldn't protect. It was a silent acknowledgement of the deep-seated secrets hidden within the industry. And then, as the wave of public outrage grew, they came for her. The forces that had silenced Malcolm were now turning their attention to Karen, threatening to extinguish her truth just as they had extinguished his life. The story was entering a new tense and dangerous chapter. Karen Molina was immediately served with a gag order. The court claimed she was interfering with an ongoing federal review, a baseless accusation, since in reality, no such review was underway. Malcolm's case had been closed, and no one had dared to reopen it until now, thanks to the fierce and unyielding public outrage. A flurry of petitions, protests, and large billboards featuring Malcolm appeared everywhere with haunting messages. He didn't vanish. He was erased. This was an attempt by those behind the scenes to silence Karen and bury the truth, but it only further ignited the fire of public struggle. When CNN tried to discredit Karen, dismissing her as an emotional mother blinded by grief, the internet reacted fiercely, dismantling their efforts. Public outrage surged as the first pieces of evidence began to surface. A TMZ producer leaked internal emails showing that Malcolm's sudden fall narrative wasn't accidental, but meticulously orchestrated by a third-party public relations firm hired by a major film studio. This revelation exposed a high-level cover-up. At the same time, a former assistant director confessed that Malcolm had been quietly blacklisted within the industry. This occurred after he attempted to promote a documentary about severe psychological abuse among child stars, a sensitive issue that many powerful figures wanted buried. This confession not only corroborated Karen's claims, but also pointed to a complex web of hidden truths where voices daring to speak out for justice were systematically and cruelly punished. Then the most chilling piece of evidence emerged, a blurry photo leaked from a hospital security camera. It showed Malcolm in a wheelchair, bruised and gagged, with two men in suits beside him. The date: one day after his supposed time of death. Everything changed. His death certificate was issued 3 days after he was last seen alive. So what happened in those 72 hours? Karen demanded answers. She went to the Los Angeles Police Department. But they ignored her. She went to the FBI, who told her there was no evidence of foul play, but the public no longer believed them. People began digging. A Reddit thread revealed a nurse at Cedars-Sinai had been fired for mentioning Malcolm's placement in a psychiatric ward in a secure VIP-only section of the hospital. This nurse never spoke out publicly, but an anonymous account linked to her posted one chilling statement. He kept repeating the same phrase: "They're trying to brainwash me. I didn't understand then. Now I do." Karen broke down, her voice choked with emotion, in interviews pleading for true justice. She recounted how Malcolm had warned her they would erase his memory, replacing his truth with a polished lie. He wasn't remembered as a whistleblower. Instead, he was portrayed as a troubled recluse. Even the Hollywood Walk of Fame initially refused him a star until fans rallied lighting candles along the boulevard in his honor. The tide began to turn when Eddie Griffin took the stage at the BET Awards, his voice booming with righteous indignation. "Malcolm-Jamal Warner deserves to be heard. This industry is built on our talent and buries our truth." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Eddie was immediately escorted backstage, a swift, clear attempt to silence a voice speaking out for justice in an environment steeped in power and secrecy. The very next morning, a chilling warning arrived. Eddie's car was vandalized and a single stark message was spray-painted across the windshield. Stop. This wasn't mere vandalism. It was a clear, menacing threat from those determined to keep the truth buried. It proved that the forces behind Malcolm's death were willing to go to extreme lengths to protect their secrets, unafraid to intimidate anyone who dared to speak. The fight for justice for Malcolm was becoming increasingly dangerous and complex. This battle was no longer just about Malcolm. It encompassed all the voices silenced before him, the child stars who vanished into mysterious spirals, the artists who disappeared from the spotlight without explanation. Karen wasn't just fighting for her son. She was now fighting for every forgotten truth. As the media tried to deflect attention with sensational stories and new scandals, the movement continued to grow. Everyone sensed a dark rot festering behind the scenes, and they wouldn't stop until the curtain was fully pulled back, exposing the truth to the world. The moment Karen Melina White stepped onto the press podium, her hands trembling, the world held its breath. There was no elaborate styling, no rehearsed speech, just raw, unconcealed grief. She looked out at the flashing lights, her voice cracking as she whispered, "He didn't die. He was stolen from me, and I won't rest until all those involved are exposed." A collective gasp swept through the crowd. People had suspected something sinister, but this was the full-fledged battle cry of a woman who'd been silent for too long. As her voice grew stronger, shedding years of enforced quiet, she dropped a bombshell. No one was ready for their surveillance footage, and you won't believe what it shows. That single sentence flipped the entire narrative. What happened next broke the internet. A leaked frame, its blurry timestamp just 4 hours before Malcolm's official accident, showed he wasn't alone in that parking garage. He was being watched. A faint, unidentified figure, but clearly observing his every move. Twitter exploded with theories. Was it a rogue paparazzo, a deranged fan, or someone far more dangerous sent to silence him? But it didn't stop there. Karen's legal team dropped another shocker. A recovered voice recording from Malcolm's own phone, made just 2 days before he vanished. "If anything happens to me, don't believe the headlines. Don't believe them when they say I overdosed. Don't believe them when they call it an accident. They've been watching me. I can feel it." You could hear the fear in his voice, not drug-induced, not delusional, but terrified, lucid, focused. He knew he was being hunted. Karen didn't let up. She called out a group of insiders, Hollywood fixers, top public relations specialists, film industry figures, and former legal advisors, accusing them of orchestrating a blatant cover-up for unknown reasons. She stated that someone wanted him erased, and they never expected anyone to fight back. But they forgot I was still here. Behind the scenes, Malcolm's old friends began to crumble under the weight of the revelations. A former sitcom actor, through his lawyer, revealed that Malcolm had withdrawn from a massive streaming deal just days before his death. The reason? As Karen's documents exposed, Malcolm discovered the production was partly funded by a company linked to the very group he'd privately implicated. It was all connected. But the most shocking revelation was a secret psychiatric evaluation Malcolm had penned for a script idea. In it, he meticulously detailed a powerful Hollywood figure who used rehab centers to control black actors, medicating and silencing them under the guise of healing. The fictional character's initials chillingly matched a real-life producer he'd once collaborated with. The report outlined possible evidence of tampering at the scene where Malcolm fell. His coffee cup had been wiped clean, no fingerprints. Security cameras were mysteriously disabled for exactly 17 minutes, coinciding precisely with the window of time in which Malcolm is believed to have collapsed. The person who filed the report, a rookie police officer newly assigned to the case, who was inexplicably transferred the very next day. After Karen's team tried to reach out to him for clarification, he vanished. This is no longer just a tragic story out of Hollywood. It's beginning to look like a cover-up one that appears to involve multiple departments, production studios, and now even law enforcement. The pressure is building fast. Karen's press conference has gone viral, spreading rapidly across platforms. Celebrities have begun to reshare the video. Prominent actors and directors are quietly distancing themselves from anyone named in the allegations. A former studio executive speaking anonymously leaked a series of internal emails that exposed a wave of panic sweeping through the highest levels of the industry. Messages filled with fear, including lines like, "If Karen releases the footage, we're finished," revealed just how deeply the secrets ran. But the public wasn't willing to sit back and wait. Thousands of voices rose in unison, demanding a full federal investigation into the mysterious death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Hashtags like "Jihad Justice Now," "Karen was right," and "He did not overdose" quickly began trending worldwide, reflecting a wave of outrage and an urgent call for accountability. And as for Karen, steadfast and resolute, she has made one thing clear: she will not stop. Karen teamed up with a whistleblower organization to release Malcolm's entire hidden file, creating a digital archive called the Warner Truth Tapes. The first tape sent shockwaves, capturing Malcolm directly confronting a senior executive in a hotel room. His voice, clear and unwavering, declared, "I know what you did to those men back in the 90s. This wasn't just an accusation. It was a direct challenge, exposing the dark underbelly of a past rife with secrets and manipulation in the entertainment industry." It confirmed Malcolm held incredibly sensitive information before his death. "And I won't be your next headline," Malcolm resolutely stated. The executive didn't deny the accusation. He simply responded with a chilling 6-word sentence, "Then don't go for a jog alone." Those words sent shivers down the internet's spine, sowing fear and suspicion. People listened, rewound the recording, and took screenshots. Suddenly, Malcolm's death wasn't just a tragic mystery. It transformed into a stark message, a terrifying warning to all other actors daring to speak out in this secretive industry. But Karen did the unexpected. She completely flipped the script. She transformed her profound grief into a powerful megaphone, amplifying her son's voice. "Malcolm didn't run," she said through tears, her voice firm. "He stood his ground, and now I'm standing with him." This mother's heartfelt plea moved millions. In just 48 hours, the digital archive containing Malcolm's evidence garnered 7 million views. A petition demanding a congressional investigation into the case collected 1.3 million signatures. Hollywood found itself in a state of chaos. Some producers quietly resigned, while others quickly denied any involvement, demonstrating the unprecedented public pressure. Even some tried to attribute Malcolm's death to a psychiatric relapse, but the entire world had seen the footage. They had heard his voice. They knew the truth. Malcolm didn't overdose. He didn't break down. He was hunted, silenced, and ultimately exposed. Now the silence has been shattered. The entire system is reeling because Karen Molina White, a woman once dismissed by the industry, has just ensured the world will never forget the name Malcolm-Jamal Warner again. And now, after all the lies, the silence, the denial, you've heard every heartbreaking detail. You've seen the faces hidden behind the masks. You've witnessed the cover-ups, the suffering, the betrayances that cannot be undone. So we ask you now, how much truth is too much for the world to bear? Malcolm did not die from a mental illness. He was hunted, silenced, and ultimately exposed. The silence has been broken, and now Karen Molina White has ensured that the world will never forget the name Malcolm-Jamal Warner. So the question is, how many more truths can the world bear? Leave a comment with number 1 if you sympathize with Malcolm-Jamal Warner, or number 0 if you have a different opinion. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exciting videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.